Guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela. Sorry, I got a cat walking through here right as I start the video. But I decided to go ahead and do kind of like a part 2 to my haunted wedding spread I did. This is I guess what do you call it? I think he's going to leave now. Yep, he left. Oh, goodness. Basically an after party, letting you guys know what happened, what went down. So the wedding, again, like I said before, the wedding went off without a hitch, which is what this card to me represented. I told you the story about how I meditated prior to, and I went to a wedding, and it was in a small town that's got a lot of history. And so I decided, this is my second time I've done this, but I decided to do a meditation and open myself up to any spirits that wanted to talk. And I did this in October for my niece's wedding and got a very happy, quaint vibe that whatever spirits were coming were there to party. With this one, I got a very different vibe. The wedding that was on Saturday, I did a meditation thing at work, and it was almost like they lined up and was like, "Oh, there's somebody that's willing to talk to us now." They have not had anybody to talk to, and the first thing I heard was a little girl screaming, "No, no, no!" The next I saw was a man. He was very dirty, very scruffy beard. He was good looking, but he was had a brown, like a tan khaki suit on, almost like a prison uniform. I felt that he was a railroad worker, which there is a railroad that goes right through that town. And I felt like the little girl accused him of something, but nothing ever came of it because he was innocent. I felt like he was a prisoner at one point, but maybe for just like robbery or something. It wasn't like, raping a child, which is what she was accusing him of, I feel like. But I think she in herself was a little on the mad side. There was some kind of madness there. And I just keep saying mad, not crazy, but madness. Because there to me there's a difference. I think the madness is something that was settled in from her being with whoever she was raised with. The scene switched at that point to the old man. The man was old. He was like late 60s, early 70s, maybe at the most 70. And I asked how he died, and all of a sudden I got really sharp pains in my stomach, and I heard the words pancreatic cancer. So I think he did die from old age, which is rare back then, because this was like 1908, 1912, something like that, originally. And then this was probably the late 20s, early 30s when I saw him dying. I did also see a woman, maybe late 20s, early 30s. I think she was the little girl. I'm pretty sure she was the little girl. And again, there was this tinkering. I want to say the words I'm saying are just weird because I don't say these words, but it's what I'm hearing to describe this. It's this tinkering madness. And I don't think tinkering is the right word, but it's something that starts with a T that's like, for that time frame, there was a madness about her. Like, she craved attention. She craved chaos and madness. And I saw her in like a rose gold velvet, like a crushed velvet flapper girl dress with the matching headband. She was drinking champagne, and she just turned to me and was laughing hysterically. There was a huge party, almost like, I want to say like a New Year's Eve party, in this location that I went to Saturday for the wedding. And it was just crazy. Then it switched to, um, and it switched to a young man that got caught up in a flood, and I did look that up, and that actually happened. I kept getting the year 1957, looked it up. 1957, there was a huge flood there because the river is right there next to the railroad. That just feels like there's a lot of condensed sadness in one area. And I think that's why I don't think there's ever been any like ghost hunters or anything like that there, which is why I think they were just so relieved that someone was willing to open up and talk to them. And it boggled my mind, the things I saw. And then, of course, I saw the last one switch to like 1962, and it was a woman. She was a young black woman. She killed herself at the school because of bullying by 3 white men. They became faculty of the school. Nothing ever happened to them, but she killed herself in front of them because they tortured her relentlessly, thinking that would do something to change something, which it didn't. I still feel like she's there at the school. I feel like she's waiting on them to exact her revenge to die. She's waiting on them to die to exact her revenge in death, which is weird. I also was saying, I did a spread, and the spread I pulled, this is what I pulled in front of you from my Pensapath Tarot. And I totally forgot the questions I asked. It's the same one. I'll post a link below to the previous video. It's the same questions. But I also, after the fact, I felt like this was the old man. Not only is there like this desolation to this, which is what I keep feeling in this town. This depression, this desolation, this isolation. And that's what I felt when I first tapped into this town. It wasn't even the location, it was the town I was tapping into. Although when I did look back and I realized today that I had actually, when I started the meditation, actually spoke the address out loud. So anything that happens in or around that location is what I think came to me within a couple miles, because the school is further away, but it's up the road. It's not far. And then this, I kept seeing there was like, I said there may be need to balance some emotions, or I was going to be the buffer. And it says, I wrote down today, it says buffer with leftover energy, emotions high. And there was, for some reason, I did not cry at my niece's wedding. And the second I walked into this building, I was like emotional. So I don't know if I just absorbed, like I said, and became that buffer for these other spirits, or what happened there. But I teared up many times, and I don't cry ever. So I was right about that card pulling it, and it was just very weird. Now, to get on to the good stuff, and again, the wedding went off without a hitch, which is what I said here. The little girl, which is also the woman in the flapper dress. She's the same being, but I think at one point, either the child in her split, if that's even possible, from her as an adult, or she is trying to make everyone believe she's this sweet, innocent, childlike child, and she's really not. She's a grown-ass woman, trying to dupe people into, protecting her or watching over her or whatever, because she's this sweet, innocent child, and she's not. And then it dawned on me later that I pulled the little girl in this spread, a little girl that could be around that age, maybe a little younger, but I feel like maybe I want to say 3 or 4 here. But I want to say that whatever happened to her to make her have this madness happened around this time frame, where she was 3 or 4, and like she's holding the bird in her hand. This is 3 of Swords I pulled for that, whatever that question was, I forget, but I was shocked to pull this card because it is almost like she's embodying that moment where she she's playing God. She's like, I know if I squeeze tight enough, I could end this bird's life. And no 3 or 4 year old is going to think that way. So something changed in her to make her think this way in this moment. And it fascinated me because later on I'm looking at things and I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. So then I pulled oracle cards and I pulled flirtation, which this looks like her as an adult. Maybe not in Victorian wear, but I can totally see her being this total flirty person that was just like, well, she's always trying to trip people up. So if she's flirting with a man and he decides to go after her, then it's his fault, right? Not hers. And that's kind of like the mindset she has, that she's just proving to everyone he's a horrible person, when in actuality she's taunting him, and she's enjoying the taunt. And then I pulled the girl, which my jaw hit the floor because she looks exactly like what I was seeing in my when I was seeing the girl at 6 or 7 when I first saw her. And I kept hearing low or basement. And I'm like, okay. And I didn't even know, because I found out the place we went to, I thought was the same place we went to for my brother-in-law's wedding years ago. It's not. It's literally next door. But I'd never been in the building we went into Saturday. So I walk in, not realizing there is a basement. Once I realized that, I'm like, okay, this is creepy. So I go and I'm looking for the bride. She's downstairs in the basement. And I go down there, and it's an old building, like super old. There's walled off area that looks like it could have been a tunnel for moving slaves underground. It's really weird looking and creepy. And the second I stepped down there, I knew the little girl was down there. I knew whatever energy she's trying to portray is the little girl. And it's in this basement. I thought prior to this, when I did my last spread, that I'm like, oh, it's just residual energy. I don't feel like it's as I want to say malignant or bad as I initially thought, because she's just like, I know I'm dead. I'm just here to party. And that's what I felt from her. But I'm like, this can't be real. This isn't real. And because I'm always questioning things, right? So I'm like, this isn't real. This isn't real. I'm exaggerating because I pulled all these cards and all the girl just kept popping up, because we got girl here, girl here, girl here. And then I saw the girl prior to this. And I'm just like, I'm just got girl on the brain, obviously. So I go upstairs. The wedding goes off without a hitch. About an hour after the wedding, I start talking to the bartender. And I'm curious to know, because I can feel, even my husband, who says he's not psychic, has proven time and time again he has some kind of ability. He actually broke out upstairs, and he's like, I can't be in here. And he would actually have to leave periodically because he couldn't breathe. And I'm like, that's weird. It was very weird. But I start talking to the bartender, and I'm like, so, just randomly, have you ever had any paranormal experiences here? And she's like, no, but I'm super fascinated. And then she proceeds to tell me that, she said, I am so fascinated with paranormal, everything paranormal, it's not even funny. She goes, my husband has even gone so far as to tease me about it. I was like, well, what is he teasing you about? And she says to me, my husband is always telling me there's a little girl in the basement. And I'm like, what? So mind you, I'd already been down there. I'd already felt this energy. I knew there was a little girl energy down there. I knew there was a basement there before I even went there. Found out there was a basement. And then he just happened. She goes, no, he's just messing with me. I said, I don't think he is. So whatever, I mean, I never talked to her husband. He was there for like a 2 seconds and then left. I come to find out that the bartender is also the owner. They've owned it for like a year, and they started opening it up for venues, or as a venue for weddings and other parties or whatever. But I got a kick out of the fact that she was like, no, 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 he's just messing with me. And I'm like, is he though? There are no such thing as coincidences. And I was seeing girl, 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 girl. And then I get there and I feel this girl energy. And then even if he's teasing you, for him to say a girl just kind of confirms that there's a girl in your basement. So that was a trip. And then we went next door, which that was the highlight of my whole trip, the highlight of the wedding, other than, the bride and groom getting married. But I went next door because there's like a sweet shop next door. They have all kinds of antiques, literally antiques everywhere. They had a, what do you call it? Planet of the Apes action figures, which I had never seen before, ever. I didn't know they existed. But they had things like that. They had all kinds of antiques. And I went in there for taffy because I love saltwater taffy. And anytime I can find it homemade, I'm going to buy it. And I went in there, bought some. And then I'm like, let's go. Me and one of the other guests decided to go walk around. And I was in there maybe 10 minutes. And I'm like, I gotta leave. Because I couldn't breathe. And it wasn't that, it could have been dust in the air or whatever, but it also felt like there was overwhelming amount of people in there, and there was 2 of us in there, the whole building, and the cashier. That was it. And I just felt like it was wall-to-wall people all of a sudden. I'm like, I gotta get out. So I left, but that was the only other thing that happened while I was at the wedding. But I just find it super interesting that all that took place in a matter of 24 hours, from the time I started the spread to the time I went to the wedding, and then all that happened. It's just crazy, right? Like, craziness. And like I said again, there was this feeling of overwhelming emotions there too. I don't know why I felt it. Maybe I was feeling all the spirits. I don't know. But yeah, that is part 2. Revisited or outcome. I don't know how I'm going to label this, but if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to let me know, comment below, please. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification button so you're alerted to any future videos. And y'all have a good night. Bye.